Good morning. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Monmouth County. My name is Bob Kelly and my pronouns are he, him, and his. I serve currently as Public Information Chair and also as a member of the Endowment Committee. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you arrived at this beloved place, you're welcome here. Our mission is to create community, transform ourselves, and transform the world. This morning, we welcome a guest musician, Tenzin Liang, whose playing we have enjoyed previously. So welcome back to UUCMC, Tenzin. I draw your attention to the backside of your orders of service for announcements and service information for next week. For those on the live stream and for video viewers, the order of service link is available to you in the YouTube service description box. After the service, refreshments will be served in the community room and people of all ages are welcome to visit with one another. And this morning, Marinelle Mukherjee has a special announcement.
Good morning. How nice to see you. This is a special day after the service. We have what is traditionally called soup luncheon, but it ain't necessarily soup. I have different themes, and last time around it was Chinese because it was close to Chinese New Year, and this theme has been mac and cheese and chili, but I hope it meets everyone's taste buds, but there are some alternatives. Somebody brought in pasta, noodles, and shiitake and salmon. I can't wait to taste it. And someone else has brought in beans, and someone else is bringing in a soup. So whatever your taste, I bet we can find something there for you. It is a fundraiser, a voluntary fundraiser. The charge is $10 for adults, $5 for children, maximum $25 for a family. And if you're new with us, you're free. We just love to have you join us, and don't be shy. Come join us. Nice to see you. Okay.
I'm looking forward to that. If you're new to us, please do check out our website, uucmc.org, where you can sign up to get all the latest news of the congregation by email. We look forward to getting to know you better. Please put your devices on silent as we enter into worship together, and welcome again to this place of love and hope.
Thank you, Tenson. It's such a joy to be doing another service with you. Good morning and welcome. Our congregational theme for the month of February is inclusion. Today's service, Uniquely Human, invites us to consider what it means to honor the full spectrum of human experience through the lens of neurodiversity. Today we'll explore the diverse ways that our brains work and the shared humanity that connects us all. For our call to worship, hear these words written by Sharon Wiley, titled Wholeness. We speak so often of brokenness in religious life. Let us speak today of wholeness. You are welcome here, all of you. Every part of you beautiful just the way you are. Here you do not need to be something more or something less. No holding back, no hiding, no exerting yourself, no trying to do more and be more. You have inherent worth and dignity. Nothing to prove here. Nothing to prove to me, to the person sitting next to you, to your children, or to anyone. You don't have to try to be witty, or more quiet, or more outgoing. You are beautiful. Every part of you is beautiful, just the way you are. You do not need to change anything about yourself to be welcome here. Your skin, your hair, your belly, your limbs, your face, all beautiful, just the way they are. You are extraordinary. Each and every one of you is different from each and beautiful in your own beautiful way. Simply breathtaking. Come, let us worship together. Unitarian Universalists light a flame in a chalice cup each week as a ritual that calls us into community. The faith symbolizes truth, justice, and the inherent worth and dignity of every person. And it serves as a guiding beacon, inviting us into shared reflection and connection, and reminding us that we are held in love. It's my honor to invite Paul and Barbara Vallon to light our chalice this morning with these words on Cherishing Our Differences by Cindy Fesgen. We are all capable in different ways, with various strengths and talents. We are all holy, part of the universe and the interdependent web. We light this chalice, cherishing our differences and holding each other in sacredness. Thank you, Barbara and Paul. Now, if you will rise in body or spirit and join me for our opening hymn, come sing a song with me. We're going to do the first 3 verses. The words are on the screens and also in your hymnal, number 346. Our story this morning is titled Masterpiece. It's an inclusive narrative featuring a boy named Samuel who is on the autism spectrum and perceives the world a little differently from his peers. Samuel loved blue. He loved it so much that he made his world blue. The walls in his room were blue, and his stuffed animals were too. His backpack was blue. His clothes were too. Blue shirts, blue pants, blue socks, and even blue shoes. Everything's better in blue, he thought. One day at school, Samuel's teacher told the class, "It's time to draw a picture of you and your family playing outside. Make sure you use lots of color." Samuel put on his headphones and got to work. His classmates drew green grass, white clouds, red slides, yellow suns, purple skipping ropes, and pink running shoes. Not Samuel. His drawing was filled with every shade of blue: sky blue, ocean blue, midnight blue, sapphire blue, turquoise blue, teal blue, and indigo blue were all there. Everything is better in blue, he thought. It's time for everyone to share what they drew. Who wants to go first? Mrs. Anderson asks the class. Gabby's hand shot up. This is a picture of me and my family at the playground. We went there yesterday. I love when my dad pushes me on the swings. Lovely, Mrs. Anderson remarked. It looks like you swing as high as the clouds. Marcus went next. This is a picture of me racing my brother down a hill in our backyard. We always run fast, he said. Superb, Mrs. Anderson announced. It looks like you run as fast as a cheetah. Next was Jasmine. This was my sister and me skipping in our front yard. We like learning new tricks. Marvelous, Mrs. Anderson exclaimed. It looks like you skip as quick as a kangaroo. One by one, all the students shared their drawings with the class. When Mrs. Anderson called on Samuel, he didn't even notice. He was busy putting the finishing touches on his art. Everything's better in blue, he thought. Mrs. Anderson walked over to Samuel's table. She leaned down and quietly spoke. Would you like to share your drawing with the class? Samuel didn't look up. Instead, he excitedly flapped his hands. Even though Samuel hasn't said a word, Mrs. Anderson knew his creation was ready. A masterpiece, Sophia blurted out. It's just blue. Drawings shouldn't just be one color. But don't you see? There's lots of color, Mrs. Anderson replied. Samuel has used every shade of blue. He's created a whole world with it. Some of us use all the colors, and some of us use shades of only one. Even though our art may be different, each is just as special. Mrs. Anderson picked up Samuel's drawing and tacked it on the empty bulletin board, proudly displaying it for all to see. The shades of blue shone brightly. Samuel's smile shone brighter. And everyone marveled at the masterpiece in front of them. Each of us is like the little boy in the book Masterpiece. We are all unique creations, all one-of-a-kind works of art. Sometimes the world tells us that we need to be a certain way or fit into a specific mold to be expected. But the truth is, just like in this story, it's our differences that make us special. In our Unitarian Universalist faith, we believe that every person has inherent worth and dignity. That means everyone, no matter how they look, think, or move through the world. Each person is valuable and deserving of love and inclusion. The boy in the story may have done things differently, but his way of being added beauty and joy to the world. And that's not something we can all remember. When we make space for everyone's unique gifts, we create something even more beautiful together, a masterpiece of community. And so today, let us celebrate what makes us uniquely human and commit to including and honoring one another just as we are. Let's bless our children and youth as they go off to their faith development small groups with Go Now in Peace.
Every week in this congregation, we're provided with an opportunity to practice generosity. This is your invitation to contribute to the well-being of our congregation and to our social justice partners through the good works of organizations which receive half of the monies collected each month. Our Share the Plate recipient for the month of February is Black Lives of UU, or BLUU, which hosts an online worship on the second Sunday of each month at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. The inspiration for this organization came from the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s Where lecture at the 1967 General Assembly of the Unitarian Universalist Association, entitled Don't Sleep Through the Revolution. For those of you present here in the meeting house, the plates will be passed by the ushers. You may also join this time of generosity via text, send your offerings by mail, or charge your contribution online with a memo designating an amount to Black Lives of UU. Please give generously.
I have never felt normal, they said. It was a response to a question I asked about what normal means in a world with so much difference. My body and my heart felt heavy at the response. It was almost as if the air had been taken out of my body. Those 5 simple words echoed inside my mind. I have never felt normal. At that moment, I realized that I, too, have never felt normal. And it took me almost 40 years to understand why. Growing up, school was often a frustrating experience. I would sit at the table every night for hours upon hours doing homework and studying, only to receive a low grade on tests that I had prepared for all week. In high school, I discussed my memory and school performance with a doctor who, after doing a few quick tests in his office, informed me that my long-term memory was above average, while my short-term memory was lacking. It was oddly comforting that someone recognized my difference and affirmed that I was struggling. But no real solutions were offered beyond work harder. And so I did. Eventually, I learned about ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Could this be me? In the 90s and early 2000s, when I was growing up and moving into adulthood, ADHD was a controversial topic. Some claimed it didn't exist, while others dismissed it as merely an excuse for misbehavior or medication. As an adult, I recognized that I exhibited many of the symptoms. However, when I mentioned it to doctors, they dismissed it as a childhood disorder. Until eventually I met the right doctor who explained to me that I have ADHD. And that doctor's recognition has been life-changing. Since then, I have been learning and accepting the unique ways that my brain works. And it's not always easy. Accepting that my brain works differently has been a process. We live in a society that pushes back against human difference, against anything that doesn't fit into the mold or is not considered neurotypical. The word neurotypical is a developmental term that describes someone who thinks and processes information in ways that are typical within their culture compared to others. Neurodivergence, on the other hand, is a term used when individuals' brain processes, learns, and behaves differently from what is deemed as typical. There are numerous misconceptions about neurodivergence. I have ADHD, and one of the most common misconceptions begins with its name: attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I do not experience a deficit of attention. Instead, my mind pays too much attention. While I'm not physically hyperactive, some individuals are, my hyperactivity manifests in my mind, in racing thoughts, in an abundance of ideas. If you've ever heard me tell a story without a script, you know there's a lot of ideas going on in there. If you've ever worked with me, you might notice that I sometimes struggle to concentrate. Sometimes I forget what I'm saying in mid-sentence. And I find it challenging to organize complex administrative tasks to completion. You may have observed also that I am highly creative. I remain calm in a crisis. I possess a strong sense of empathy, and I have a keen intuition. Now, those are just some of the unique ways my neurodivergent brain works. There's a saying that I keep encountering in seminary that goes, if you have met one person with ADHD, then you've met one person with ADHD. Plug in whatever word you need there. If you've met one person with autism, then you've met one person with autism. It sounds silly, but it's a reminder that humans are incredibly diverse. Now, a label or diagnosis does not necessarily mean we know something about a person's experience in the world. But often, we define typical as when each person, but how we define typical, when every person's brain is different, is a mystery to me. Like a fingerprint, no two people have the same brain anatomy. None of us, not a single person in this room has the same brain anatomy. How can we define what is typical when humans are anything but? We've been misled. I'm here to tell you that there is no such thing as normal. Normal is a socially constructed concept. There is no real world apart from the one that we create together. And the really good news is that we can shift the narrative of difference and what it means to be human. How we think about and speak about neurodivergence, really about any difference, matters deeply. In the United States, much of our understanding of neurological differences operates within something called a deficit-based paradigm. Sometimes that gets connected with what's called the medical model. In this paradigm, disability is seen as a problem to be fixed or managed. And frankly, in my opinion, it's a product of a capitalist society with structures that narrow the circle of who's in and who's out. Humans become defined by what's wrong with them. We may feel sorry for them, and then we try to fix them. They become special, and therefore entitled to services, further creating a divide of us versus them. Now, I'm not suggesting that we dismiss or throw out the medical model altogether. For many, a diagnosis can bring relief after years of confusion, which was part of my experience. It can also help people learn and find support to manage the disabling effects from the condition that they have so that they can live lives that are fuller. Some people might say neurodivergence is a superpower. And that is true sometimes. But when you're struggling, it sure doesn't feel like one. This whole thing, it's a double-edged sword because it shifts the focus to fixing the person rather than seeing the whole person, including their challenges and their gifts. And so we need ways to widen the circle of belonging. The U.S. Center for Disease Control estimates that 15 to 20% of the general population has neurodivergent conditions. A lot of times we don't realize that because sometimes people with neurodivergent conditions try to mask their experience, to try to appear as if they're normal or typical. The language we use and how we think about these neurological differences is essential. Our educational institution, our jobs, media, so many things in our society are designed for those who are deemed typical. These ways of thinking create shame and exclusion. They keep us from recognizing our full humanity. Shifts that change in the ways we think and act can empower people. What if we started by eliminating terms like disorder and deficit to describe ways of being human? There's another approach that's sometimes known as the social model or the giftedness paradigm. Sometimes it's also referred to as asset or strength-based model. These things can help starting to move us into the right direction. Judith Snow, a disability rights advocate, introduced the idea of the giftedness model. And in this perspective, each individual, not just a select few, is seen as having unique gifts that create opportunities for meaningful interaction and spiritual connection. If we embrace the idea that everyone is different, then no single difference should be seen as more or less normal than another. I'm currently doing some work with people who have developmental disabilities. I chose to do this work because I believe that part of my call to our faith of Unitarian Universalism is to understand and notice the experiences of humanity. And I recognize that this is a group of individuals that I didn't have much experience with. My first day, I felt nervous, especially because I knew I'd be working with nonverbal communicators. I quickly realized that communication happens in countless ways beyond speech. Shifting my perspective helped me connect with these individuals more deeply. I asked a staff member who works at the center why she does this job. She told me it's a little bit selfish, but that she does it because she finds great joy in helping individuals reach their full ability and capacity. And that looks different for all of us. She went on to say, they are just like us. By they, she's talking about the people in the program who are developmentally disabled. She says, they are just like us. They love, they cry, they have similar wants and desires. They feel both sadness and joy. She says she makes it her mission to journey with them in experiencing the full range of humanness. How beautiful is that? We need more people like that in the world. One of the most profound ways to practice this is by experiencing the world through the lens of someone different from you, and by searching for the divine spark within each person. There's a sermon that's titled, God makes no mistakes, creating beloved community for all our children. It was given by UU educator and author Sally Patton. In the sermon, Sally reflects on the Rule, a 15-year-old document on hospitality written by Saint Benedict to guide monks living in monasteries. Saint Benedict believed that to grow as human beings, we need other people. Let me say that again. To grow as human beings, we need other people. Patton says, quote, Saint Benedict's radical hospitality leads to the creation of beloved community in which the different, those who appear strange, and those who are marginalized are welcomed and accepted. Saint Benedict's hospitality is a way of love. Saint Benedict asks that we see the divine in every single adult and child we encounter. Now, maybe it was the influence of attending Saint Benedict Catholic School for 8 years that drew me to this idea, but it's also how I see Unitarian Universalism. We learn and grow in relationship with one another. Our shared covenants with one another call on us to build the beloved community, welcoming the whole person, their gifts and deficits, into faith communities requires us to embrace difference. Radical hospitality calls us to be communities that are not only accepting, but are also actively working to shift the narratives and widen the circle of belonging in the human family. In Patton's sermon, she leads the congregation in an exercise on perspective. And that's what I believe can help us connect to the power of drawing the circle wider. I've adapted the exercise a little bit, and I'd like to invite us to do it together. For this exercise, you're going to need your imaginations. Close your eyes or relax your gaze, however you're comfortable. And imagine I've given you a white blank card and a marker. On one side, I ask you to write the word deficits and list 2 or 3 things that you don't like about yourself. I'll give you just a moment to think about what you might write on that card. The one labeled deficits, things you don't like about yourself. And now, flip over that card, and on the other side, write the word gifts. And list 3 to 5 things you do like about yourself. I hope it's easier to write the list of things that you like about yourself. Now, in your minds, as you have your card and you've written on both sides, I want you to imagine holding the side of the card that says deficits outward on your chest. I want you to envision that everyone you meet can only view this side of you. They engage with you from this perspective, concentrating on what's wrong with you, and likely feeling like they want to fix or help you. How would that make you feel? Now take a deep breath and let go of those thoughts. Release them. And in your mind, flip the card over to the side that says gifts. The gift side is now facing out. Imagine that people can only see this side of you. They observe your strengths and your talents. They believe in your abilities, and they don't try to fix you. How do you feel now? Do you feel lighter? Do you feel more seen? I invite you to open your eyes and return to the space when you're ready. What we just did here shows us the power of perspective. Now, there's a term called neurodiversity. It's a newer term. It's been taking a while to catch on. I'm a fan of it. I think it takes Sally Patton's work one step further. It's a term that recognizes that there is a natural variation in how human brains work. No two brains are alike. And our attention, language, memory, social skills all exist on a vast spectrum. When we embrace neurodiversity, we create communities where everyone belongs, just as they are. We increase our understanding of what it means to be human, to be uniquely human. So, friends, let us honor the unique gifts in each person. Let us see the divine in every mind and every heart. Because to be human is to be different, and to be different is what makes us beautiful. We are all, each and every one of us, uniquely human. We are all a masterpiece. In a world where interconnection matters, we can create spaces of mutual reverence and honor the spark of the divine that exists in the connectedness of all humanity. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen. Looks like I've lost connection to the monitors, but I think we're going to be okay. I think we can get through this next part together without them. Although, I don't know about the hymn. We'll see when we get to that part. For our meditation, I want to invite us into a responsive reading that's written by the Reverend Susan Frederick Gray, past president of the Unitarian Universalist Association, and the Reverend Erica Hewitt. After each part, the response is, "No one is outside the circle of love." It's also the title that's listed in your order of service. But let's try it together. No one is outside the circle of love. We know that hurts move through the world, perpetuated by action, indifference, and indifference. Our values call us to live in a reality of the heartbreak of our world, remembering that we who are Unitarian Universalists not only affirm the inherent worth and dignity of every person, we also affirm the inherent wholeness of every being, despite apparent brokenness. We know that things break or break down: promises, friendships, sobriety, hope, communication. This breaking happens because our human hearts and our very institutions are frail and imperfect. We make mistakes. Life is messy. With compassion as our guide, we seek the well-being of all people. We seek to dismantle systems of oppression that undermine our collective humanity. We believe that we are here to guide one another towards love. No matter how fractured we are or once were, we can make whole people of ourselves. We are whole at our core because of the great, unnameable, sometimes inconceivable love in which we live. Thank you. We're gonna, just give me 1 second and see if I can get the slides back, but I may have lost the monitors completely. All right, we do not have a slide for the hymn. The remote, is the TV just off? Okay. Well, turning the TV on is the first step. These things happen, right? Do we have it? At least on one? Okay, at least one. We can do this. Okay, please rise in body or spirit and sing with me our closing hymn, "We Would Be One." If you want to use your hymnal, it's number 318. You may be seated. Our benediction is a poem from a collection called Colors of My Mind, which explores the experience of living on the autism spectrum. Whether you are neurodivergent or seeking understanding, the poems in this book celebrate the beauty of being authentically you. So I close with the poem that closes the book called Embracing the Journey. In the tapestry woven, each thread tells a tale of struggles and triumphs, of moments that sail. With every heartbeat echoed, a symphony plays, celebrating the beauty in life's winding ways. From the depths of confusion to clarity found, in the richness of colors, our voices resound. We dance through the shadows, we bask in the light, embracing our journeys, both tender and bright. With every shared story, we build a new space, a world filled with kindness, acceptance, and grace. Together we flourish like flowers in bloom, creating a garden where love can consume. So here's to the wanderers, the dreamers, the bold, to the hearers that are tender, to the ears. I had my wife transcribe this, and clearly she missed a word. Don't tell her I said that, though. To hear what is tender, the stories retold. In the embrace of our truths, we rise and we shine. In the beauty of being, we are perfectly aligned. Go now in peace to bless the world, but first stop by our chili and mac and cheese lunch. And if you are a guest, don't forget you are a guest here and you do not need to pay for the lunch. Thank you for being here.